right here. Okay. Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today I am very excited because I have an idea. Basically, usually I try to have most of this figured out before I start filming, but I had an idea, so I just sat down before I had half of a plan. So here we are. I apologize for the fact that I still do not have eyebrows. They're still kind of going back. Disregard the fact that my hair looks absolutely insane right now. I'm gonna fix it later by putting on a wig. So the idea, hello. Okay, so my idea is Alice in Wonderland. I want to be Alice, but I want to be Alice falling through the rabbit hole. Now, I know I did Alice last year. I didn't do it on my channel. I did it on my Instagram, but that was punk Alice, and that wasn't a full tutorial. So my thinking is it's totally okay for me to use the same costume. Anybody else not think that falling through the rabbit hole she wouldn't get a little discombobulated and messed up? Like, how many times did she hit her head and didn't get scratched? So happy Halloween. I'm gonna get started. First of all, the star of the show, I really don't know what I'm doing. Hello. All I know is that we're gonna use some of this liquid latex. This is just some cheap stuff I found on Amazon, so I can use that. All right, so the reason I don't have foundation or anything on is, first of all, I don't know what I'm doing yet. And second of all, when using latex, you want to put it on before foundation or it's not going to stick as well. I already cut my finger. How did I do that? You're going to want a little tool to use. It's not going to be super sharp. I know this one looks super sharp, but it's actually not. It's got latex and stuff all over it already. Or is that paint? And here's where I gave up on the audio during editing because it was me rambling about everything and nothing to do with the tutorial. So this is what you get now. Ignore all of my talking because it's not even about the tutorial. I promise you're not missing anything. So I put on the dress so that I could figure out where my lines were going to go more accurately because my shirt didn't cut down that low, and then I took it off so that I didn't get latex all over it, because if I hadn't, I definitely would have. I poured out a little bit of latex into a little bowl. A little goes a long ways, you would be surprised. And basically I'm just laying down thin layers and making sure the edges are really blended into the skin. I cannot speak. And just building it up until it's as deep as I want it to be. Then I'm taking a knife that is not sharp, and I am cutting through the wet latex so that we have the cut in the skin. Not sharp. Do not use an actual knife for this, please. And I'm basically just repeating this whole process throughout all of the cuts, building up with the latex, cutting through it while it's still tacky, and building it up again until I get them how I want them. Once they are dry, I'm going to use some of my Fit Me powder. This one is not translucent because I want to cut down the yellowness of the latex, and just powdering the heck out of all of them because they are so shiny. Then I'm taking foundation and I'm putting that all over my face and all over the cuts and blending it out into my skin so it looks seamless. And all of the products that I use will be in the description down below in case you're wondering what exactly I used in this tutorial, or any tutorial of mine. I always put it down there, but you guys never look. I'm blending it out with a brush basically only because I was too lazy to go and wet my beauty blender and use that. So there's no particular reason why you can't use a beauty blender. So now I'm going to set all of that with my translucent Fit Me powder, just so it's not shiny and it doesn't fall off of our faces. Look at my camera freaking out. I don't understand what's wrong with the lighting here. Now I'm going to start with a darker than my skin tone and a gray tone. And I'm going to start adding in the lines around my face and my contour really dark to make my face look sunken in and kind of half dead. So I'm really exaggerating my temples, and I'm dragging my contour all the way down to my jaw and all the way down to the front of my face, more than I usually would, to make it look hollowed out and dead. And then I put a brush down, and I didn't know it was in front of the camera, so you get to stare at that while I attempt nose contouring. I only did a little because I suck at it, but I thought it added to the sunken in effect that we were going for. And then I'm adding some lines under my eyes because my eye bags were not big enough for this tutorial, believe it or not. So I'm really exaggerating them. And it's gonna look really dark for a while until we get the rest of the makeup on, and then it'll make sense. It'll all be cohesive in the end, I promise. Now I'm taking this purple color from Makeup Geek. I think it's called Curfew, and it ended up being absolutely perfect for this tutorial. And I'm putting that in the lines to make them look more irritated and bruisey. It's a really good bruise tone. I wasn't aware of this before. And then I'm putting that and some red under my eyes. I didn't show the red under my eyes. I don't know why, but that's what I'm doing here. Then I'm taking my Kat Von D Super Brow, and I'm just gonna put that on my eyebrows off camera. I made them thinner than I usually would because I didn't want them to attract too much attention, because they are not the focal point of this makeup look. So I'm taking one of these disposable sponges and I'm just ripping little bits out of it to make it all jagged and get a really cool texture, and we're going to use this later for some bruising. I was originally going to use this to shade some of the cuts and the irritation, but I didn't end up liking how that looked, so I changed to a different brush. And that's what you see me doing here with the red eyeshadow. I start to shade this cut and then decide I don't like how it looks. You learn as you go. So I took a smaller fluffy brush and I'm using that and some red and a teeny tiny bit of that purple to put irritation around the cuts. And then my camera fell over. Now I'm taking that sponge we just ripped up and I'm using red tones, purples, and a teeny tiny bit of blue to make these bruises. And I start with the red and do that in a wide area, and then I add in a little bit of the light purple we've been using, and then a tiny bit of a darker purple, and then a teeny tiny bit of blue in some spots, depending on how severe I want the bruise to look. And I'm not blending it out very well because I want that uneven, bruisey looking texture. So I basically do these all over the place. They were really fun to do. And the only thing I did blending wise is I took a brush with a little bit of light pink on it and went around the edges just so it blended into the skin more and didn't look so painted on. now I'm gonna take a little tiny brush and some of that red and put it inside of my cuts to make them look deeper instead of just make them look like they're sitting on top of the skin. I ended up realizing that wasn't enough, so I put in a little bit of black to make it a darker red, and that seemed to work better. But it doesn't matter too much because we're going to end up putting blood over top of this. It's just to make it look a little bit deeper than it would otherwise. Now I'm taking a little bit of this blue because I didn't have a lighter blue, which I would have used if I had one, and I'm putting that over my lids to make them look a little bit more translucent, because I think of blue veins popping through if I think translucency. Then I'm taking that purple, which is the star of the show, honestly, and just putting that all over the place to make my eyes look bruised and tired. And I ended up putting that on my lids too because I didn't like how my lids popped. I wanted them to look more sunken in. So I basically just play around with the eyeshadows and add some reds in too until I get it just right. Now, I'm doing a trick that I learned last year. I take a little bit of foundation and squish my lips together so there's a lot of folds and wrinkles in them, and then brush it over top so you get this cracky looking effect where it looks like you haven't worn chapstick in about 10 years. And then I put some purple and a tiny bit of blue and black on the center to make my lips look kind of dead. Now I'm adding mascara. I only showed mascara because I'm using a brown one. I usually don't show it because it's usually just black, but I wanted this to be really natural because it's not a beauty look if you haven't realized already. The mascara face never gets old. Now it is time for blood, but first I have to go and put on my costume. So usually I brush out the wig, but I decided not to because it adds to the disheveled effect we're going for. And I put on the little bow headband and the dress, and now we look like Alice, but like undead Alice. And then again, I'm putting things in front of the camera because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm taking this teeny tiny detail brush and putting blood inside all of our cuts first, and then I'm going to go in later and I'm going to add drips wherever I feel the need to, like I'm doing here, just to make them look a little bit more gory and bloody. And then I decided to add some scratches by lightly running my brush across my face to get these sporadic looking lines, and they just look like super tiny cuts that you would get, like paper cuts almost. And I think they just tie everything together a little bit better. And then of course I decided to put some blood around my mouth because maybe she bit her lip, or maybe her lips are just so dry and cracked that they started bleeding on their own. I don't know, I just felt like putting blood near my mouth because why not? And that is the final look. And my audio is not going to match with this when I'm doing my outro, but I will try my best. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.